Water is an ever-present threat to your job site and your livelihood. Construction by its very nature is prone to water events such as rain, drainage issues, mixing of materials, and flushing and testing of piping systems. This is why controlling water and moisture is fundamental to a safe and successful project.
The following program will outline some things you can do to keep safe and be part of building a good project. From the time you arrive at the site, your goal needs to be a safe, clean environment. Remember, moisture plus debris equals trouble. And if there are losses on the site, it will probably delay your ability to do your work and therefore keep you from earning a living.
Water flow is predictable. It will always flow downhill. On an everyday basis, watch for slopes and improper drainage that may cause water to enter the building. Always slope the landscape and trenches away from the building. If the building slab is at grade, then berms should be constructed to control runoff. Ramps, walkways, and paved areas can serve as safer access points. But even when these are in place, caution must be taken to prevent tracking water and mud into the building. Once on site, make sure to do your part and keep your work area clean and free of debris. It's especially important to remove any standing water, as this presents a hazard on many levels. From a major slipping hazard to becoming a place where mold can get a foothold. One area that is often not thought about is the drinking stations. They should be positioned safely out of the way of work, and they need to be treated as a possible source of water damage. Drip pans and trash receptacles should be included at this location. When storing materials on site, the locations should be discussed with your site representative or project manager and be located where the effects of the elements are minimized. Store your materials away from the edge of the building and make sure they are elevated to allow any water that does come near to pass under the materials. And if possible, the materials should be covered. Ductwork should be sealed from the effects of the job site. Typically, shrink wrap is utilized. This will prevent water and debris from contaminating the HVAC system. During installation, the installed duct must also be sealed. Mold can develop on materials left in a damp place, then continue to grow once the product is used. If you spot wet and damaged materials, do not use it. And be sure to put it in the proper trash receptacle for immediate removal from the site. Dry material should not be installed in a wet area either. Water must be removed. Working around puddles and other water hazards might seem quicker than clearing the situation, but in the end, the cost of having to redo your work could be tremendous. Some areas are inherently inclined to have more moisture present, such as bathrooms, shafts, and exterior walls. Be sure to use the correct materials when constructing these areas. For roofs and temporary roofing, be sure there's enough pitch and the runoff is planned for. Temporary roofing and associated piping must be inspected daily to be certain of the system's integrity. Roof drains and gutters must be kept clean and in good working order. When working on a finished roof, be mindful not to cause damage that will lead to future problems. Take the time to police your area, making sure to not leave any tools or materials behind. Something as small as a nail can ruin a successful job. Protection from the elements is put in place to reduce damages. If your work requires you to remove any protection, be sure to properly reinstall it. If your operation creates a new opening in which the elements can enter, be sure to put protection in place immediately. If you need to remove protection or affect other contractors' protection, be sure to coordinate the operations with your supervisor. The same applies for material protection. Be certain to recover material that could be exposed to the environment. Storms can test any protection system and are in a large way unpredictable. Always plan your work with that in mind. As with many hazards, a seemingly small problem can turn into a big headache quickly. Make sure that properly fitting hose connections are used, and if they begin to leak, replace them immediately. If a standing system is seen to be leaking, tell your supervisor so the proper parties can make the repairs. Again, if the leak is causing a puddle or runoff situation, it must be dried and cleaned immediately. In the event of an emergency where water is free-flowing, call for help. Shut down the source of the water. Control and contain the water. Remove water and any water-damaged materials. Also, make sure that the project manager is notified of the situation, especially if it involves a system shutdown. When testing systems with water, there are several things that can be done to ensure that water damage does not occur. Hoses can be used to usher the drain water out of the building. Air can be used for most systems prior to using water. And never leave a test unattended. This includes lunch and breaks. Designate a watch person to keep an eye on the situation. There have been plenty of cases where the water test failed and no one was there to notice until it did thousands of dollars in damages. Some operations require water to be used. During these operations, all precautions must be taken. You should also plan out your operations with a site representative to reduce causing conflicts with other trades. Hoses are one of the biggest hazards. All hoses must be monitored for leaks, and all fittings should be in good order with gaskets and seals in place. The hoses must be protected and positioned to minimize possible damage, and any leaks must be remedied immediately. Uncontrolled water situations will result in your operation being shut down.
Work stoppages and unnecessary costs can be avoided by quick action and following good practices.
In many situations, condensation can form on pipes. This happens mainly when materials inside the pipe are colder than the outside air. This is eliminated by insulating the pipes. Be sure to follow the proper steps when installing insulation, such as removing the condensation prior to enclosing the piping. If you have to remove insulation, be sure to replace it as soon as possible. If you notice water buildup from condensation, be sure to remedy the situation or notify your site representative. Mold is an ever-present natural spore that is dormant without the right conditions. Given water and a food source, such as trash and debris, it grows and spreads. If active mold growth is found, bring it to your supervisor's attention. Depending on the severity, special remediation procedures may need to be taken.
The control of water is the #1 mold inhibitor. Water plus dirt and debris can spell trouble. So keep your work areas clean and water-free, and if you notice a problem beyond your control, bring it to the attention of your site representative.
At the end of each day, make sure that water cannot be a factor. Turn off water supplies. Drain hoses. Secure all environmental protections. Make sure roof openings are covered. And give your work zone a good general cleaning.
Your site supervisors are taking an active part in eliminating moisture-related problems. Only by doing your part can you ensure that there is a job for you on this job site.